If my entire makeup bag blew away, these are the things I would be going back to the store to repurchase immediatamente, aka my go-to Holy Girl summer makeup routine. First things first, we're going to start off with primer. The e.l.f. Jelly Pop has been my go-to for a while, and I do love the way it feels on my skin. While that's setting in, I like to go in with the other skin color concealer I have, hide any blemishes or redness that I may be having at the moment. And I like to let that set in place while I do my brows. Starting off with brows, I like to go in with a micro brow pencil from NYX, fresh one that we're popping out of the pack today. Go in and kind of shape and fill my brows as I like. Once I have this filled into how I like to go in with my Anastasia Brow Freeze gel. If you want your brows to be locked in place all day, this is the only gel I'd recommend you. Now that the brows are all a little bit laid down and groomed, I'm going to go in and just pat out this concealer with this Morphe concealer brush. I believe this is the Morphe M105. Now moving to my base, we have a two-step process. You can mix and match these like I do, or you can use one or the other, whatever you want to do. This is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Foundation in the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Foundation. Now I have one in a lighter shade and a darker shade, and I like to place these accordingly to where I would highlight and contour my face. So with the lighter shade, I'm just going to go in on the high points of my face, and then with the darker shade in the hollows. Sounds right. Now that I've got it laid down on all the appropriate areas, I just like to personally go in and like tap this in with a foundation brush. I will say this is the Morphe M6, and it has been so well beloved that literally all the bristles are coming out. So for me, like stippling this in helps to keep a little bit more of the product on my face than if I were to use a sponge. Next, moving on to contour, or miraculously for myself, Brontour. We have two new favorites that I've found that I'm really loving. First one is the L'Oreal Lumi Bronze. The second one is the Morphe Tulum Trip Cheek Thrills. I think today though, I am going to go for the really bronzy look and go in with my Lumi Bronze stick. Once again, just going to apply that to all the normal places I would apply contour. Now that we have that all in place, I'm just going to go in and buff it all out with this Real Techniques brush that I probably had since I was in 8th grade and works like a charm, might add. Now moving on to blush, we have one of my new favorite finds. This is the Morphe Cheek Thrills in the shade Poolside Spritz. It's described as a tangerine apricot blush, and that's something I would never pick out for myself, but I find that it leaves the prettiest sun-kissed looking complexion on my skin. I'm absolutely obsessed with it. I love to just go in with my Refy Dual Complexion Stick, tap really lightly into the cream, and then build it up as I want on my cheek. And of course, gonna hit the bridge of the nose as well. So I love to take the excess on my brush and just put it along my hairline, and then additionally just gonna take a little bit in the creases of my eye. Now I know it looks a little crazy right now, but I love to leave it like this and then apply my concealer so it just kind of naturally dims it out and blends into each other. I'm gonna be taking the Makeup by Mario concealer to use today, but if you want a cheaper alternative, I equally love the Neutrogena Radiant Creamy Concealer. It's one of my go-tos as well, and it just kind of depends on the day which one I pick up. Now since it's summer, we're gonna be hot sweating. We want to keep it pretty minimal and light in terms of concealer, so I'm really just gonna apply it in the inner corners and do a pretty small amount, taking our damp sponge and just starting to blend out lightly. Regardless of what makeup routine we're doing, the one thing that I feel like will never change in my routine is L'Oreal Infallible Blow Friction Powder in pink. If you have anything that compares to this, please let me know, because I've never found anything that sets my under eyes quite so well. Just gonna press it in lightly with our little powder puff. Also gonna powder some of those center points in places where we spot concealed earlier. Moving straight on to powder, we are gonna take that Morphe Cheek Thrill Duo and use the powder side of this. I'm absolutely obsessed with this color. Like I said earlier, this is the shade Tulum Trip, and a little of this does go a long way. Quick and easy. Now that we're done with that, we're also gonna go back into our Morphe Cheek Thrill blush palette. Promise this isn't matte. I wish it was. And we're gonna go in once again with the powder version of that. I also love to go in with a little bit of the cream blush on top just to add a little bit of the dewiness back to the look. Last thing on the face we have is highlighter, and I'm just a sucker for a good highlight, so I'm just gonna go in really lightly, mainly on my nose with the Jaclyn Cosmetics highlighter. For eyes, we're not really gonna do much other than deepen up the crease just a little bit and add a little bit of a shimmer. So I'm just gonna go in with my Revolution Pro Master eye palette and go in with this kind of brownish orange shade right here just to deepen up the crease a smidge. And then I love to just take my powder blush shade as a transition shade.